Hi, and welcome to the Health for Life podcast for those who want to build strong trucks and strong bodies. This is Kevin Munez and Trisha Foley, your wellness team, bringing you practical tips and tricks to improve your health.
Hey everybody, thanks for listening in. It is officially 2021 and we are super excited to bring you our podcast today. If you're anything like the 60% of Americans that set New Year's resolutions, or you don't believe in resolutions but are wanting to make some changes, this year's podcast is for you.
And remember, we'd love to get your feedback, comments, and reviews, so post them either on our Facebook page or our YouTube channel.
Yes, please. So, if I were a betting person and asked you how many listening in today have set New Year's resolutions in the past, I'd say we'd have well over 70% of our listeners raising their hands right now. Unfortunately, only 8% of those who begin resolutions are actually successful.
Yeah, and I see this all the time as a trainer. Historically, gyms are always packed this time of year, and then by March, it really starts to fizzle out.
Yeah, so today we are going to tackle why this happens and what you can do to be that 8%.
Yeah, so let's start with the why part. Why is it that so many people start out super motivated to change and then over time they just fall back into their old habits?
Yeah, that's a really interesting question. I think the answer really lies in our deeply ingrained habits that we already have. We try to override these habits, but it ends up taking a lot of effort. Like trying to push a beach ball underwater, you can only do it for a while, but eventually it pops back in your face.
Oh, that is a great analogy. And I'd agree that we underestimate the power of some of our bad habits.
Yeah, unfortunately, since habits are automatic, we aren't always conscious that we are doing them. And if we don't know we're doing them and we're not aware of the fact that they can be seriously dragging us down, it's hard to reach our goals. My husband makes fun of me because I have a habit of standing in tree pose in our kitchen. And for the longest time, I totally didn't even know I was doing it.
Wow, no, that is crazy. So tree pose, for listeners who don't know what that is when you stand on one leg and rest your other foot on the inside of your knee. So you must have really good balance to not even notice or be aware that you're doing something like that.
I don't know about that, but it just goes to show you that you can be doing some pretty crazy things without even noticing.
All right, so let's dig into what a habit really is.
Sure, habits are automatic responses that improve your perception of your immediate well being. So they don't have to actually improve your well being. For me, I guess unconsciously, the tree pose is more comfortable than standing on my own 2 feet. But in all seriousness, you have to be aware and understand your current habit and what benefit you perceive you're getting from it before you begin to change it. This is the step that people skip going into a resolution.
Ah, that's interesting. So I may perceive that the Oreo cookies will make me feel better in the moment, but in reality, they aren't helping me reach my fitness goals at all. Aren't habits also more than just behaviors too? I think people always think of habits as things they do, but habits can also be thoughts that they have too.
Yeah, that's an excellent point. You can have a habit thought of, I'm not athletic, and that thought could keep you from getting up and exercising. Another one I hear a lot is, I'll never be able to lose weight. If you believe that, you will prove it to be true every time.
Absolutely. It's the power of the mind. So, with your last example, if that person had the unconscious thought of, I'll never lose weight, and repeated it over and over, as they attempt to change their eating habits, they will essentially sabotage their efforts.
Yes, and the thought of I'll never lose weight is that ball underwater. You're going to try to push it down and override it, but that habit thought is just too strong and it'll end up backfiring if you don't take time to address it first.
So, what you're really saying is you have to take that ball and begin to deflate it if you want to keep it underwater.
Yeah. So if the thought I'll never lose weight is that ball, You have to deflate the thought by changing it, and it needs to be believable. So simply changing the thought to, I can lose weight, may not sound like something that you actually believe to be true yet. Instead, maybe change that thought to, my possibilities are endless. One thing that the brain does is it looks to the past for what's possible. So if you've never been successful at losing weight yet, it likes to remind you of that. But that doesn't mean you can't. So stop believing your brain. You have the ability to create whatever is possible in the future, but it does start with your thoughts.
Wow, no, that is so true. So when you catch yourself looking to the past to see what's possible in the future, catch yourself reframing it to something that's believable that will keep you moving in the right direction.
Yes, and it does take practice, but it is so powerful.
So what about behavior-based habits? What do we need to do with established bad habits before we try to push them below the waterline and begin a new one?
That's a great question. It's human nature to try to avoid unpleasant feelings and make ourselves feel better. We try to avoid anything that makes us feel vulnerable, incompetent, uncertain, or uncomfortable. So, to remedy this, we indulge in things like food, alcohol, drugs, or mindless behaviors like shopping, social media, or even video games. The brain loves this.
So let me guess, when you're trying to substitute the pleasant and familiar feeling of playing video games on the couch with putting your body through a major workout, it begins to fight you.
Yeah, the alarms go off. You're in unfamiliar territory. Maybe you haven't done it in the past, and you're literally going to put your body through physical stress as well with that workout.
Right. So most people aren't aware of this internal alarm system and that it's normal. Instead, that they think that they lack willpower and beat themselves up. They aren't aware of the fact that their internal dialogue is powerful. And unfortunately, these things really make it harder to succeed. In essence, your brain is trying to protect you and will motivate you to continue to do what it knows.
Exactly.
All right, so before we continue on, we wanted to give you, as a listener, an opportunity to earn some rewards just for listening. So email me, Kevin, this secret word, SCORE, and you'll be entered into a $10 gift card raffle just for listening. I will reach out to the winner privately and find out if we can share their win on our next episode. So now let's get back to how a habit is formed.
Yeah, and by the way, I love that challenge or reward. I think that that's really exciting. So, just to give you a step-by-step approach with that video game example, going into a New Year's resolution goal, know that it's going to be uncomfortable, number one, and really check your thoughts. Secondly, it's helpful to know what habits are made up of. So habits do have three parts. They have the cue, reward, and reinforcement. Habits are learned and maintained through rewards and reinforcement. The reward has to do with that perception that the behavior you're doing will result in immediate well-being, even in reality if it doesn't at all. So the reinforcement is more long-term in that you notice that the behavior improves your quality of life, but the reinforcement can also be a negative thing. So you really have to think through it.
Okay, so maybe start by journaling your thoughts and identifying your cues for why you do things.
Yeah, I think taking this inventory is hard work, but in the end, you'll have a much better chance of being successful.
Okay, so let's throw a real life example out there. Let's say Joe loves to play video games, but also wants to lose 10 pounds and has decided to go to the gym instead.
Yeah, that's a great example. So step number one, Joe needs to check his thoughts pertaining to losing the weight and also his thoughts about going to the gym. What's he telling himself? Does he feel super uncomfortable in the gym setting? If he has a lot of negative thoughts about going to the gym, then, he may be better off choosing something else. So he can do one of two things. He can definitely go to the gym, but he needs to, again, address those thoughts about going and possibly shift them a bit. Or maybe he decides that he wants to play a video game that's active because it feels more familiar. So either one could work. He also needs to identify the cues for playing his video games. Cues are often a combination of time, location, maybe your emotional state. It could be other people cueing you or a preceding event like an alarm clock to remind you to do something. In this example, Joe's cue is the time of day after work and his location, which is his living room. Being aware of these cues will give him his next strategy, which would be tackling his environment. If he comes home and he's always triggered by seeing the couch, maybe he puts his workout shoes by the couch or the new workout-based video game on the couch cushion to remind him that he's working out instead of just relying on what he knows and, sitting down on the couch and picking up that video game right away. Finally, Joe needs a reward. So maybe on Fridays, he rewards himself by playing a new video game of his choice once he's finished 4 consecutive days of that video game workout.
Oh, I see where you're going with this. When you take the time to slow down and evaluate your current habits and really begin to peel back the layers, you can also begin to design goals that work in your favor.
Exactly. And it's still not going to be easy at first. But going in with the expectation of, hey, this is going to feel uncomfortable, and having that reward in mind will help to stick to the new behavior. The positive reinforcement of becoming more fit and having more energy will also help to build momentum over time and reach its goal.
So that is definitely some powerful stuff. We'd love to hear your ideas and strategies as well. Make sure to post them on our Facebook page to share them with others. And if you want more tips, you can schedule a health coaching session at no cost by using the Care Here app. Now that you have a little more insight on how habits are formed, this sounds like a good time to talk about our 2021 Resolution Reset Challenge. This will be starting on January 11th, where you pick between 1 and 3 health habits that you want to work on, and you'll get guidance, motivation, and rewards for participating. You can reach out to either one of us for more information at
tfoley@carehere.com
or kevin.munez@consultant.volvo.com. Thanks for listening, everybody. Have a great day.